All right, we're live here, episode 13 of the Lucas Grandsire podcast. The guest I'm very excited about. I always love talking to the coaches, so I knew I had to have this man on. It is the great Sayif Saud. What's going on, sir? How are you?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Before we get into the meat, all the good stuff, though, got to give a shout out to James Lynch. I told him I was gonna buy some merch, and so I did it. I feel like
He,
if you're gonna
hey,
say it, you
hey,
have
he
to do it.
hasn't. I've talked to James many times. He hasn't sent me a T-shirt. I guess I need to buy one too because he never sent me
Yeah.
one. So
I tried it too. With a lot of these companies, you do the thing like, oh, I might buy it, and you hope you get a promo code, free shaker cup, like with the protein companies. But nah, this I had to, I had to go do it on myself.
yeah, well, you're a good man.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, you got to support the good people in this industry, right? Like,
Yeah,
Ariel won't care if I buy his shirt, but maybe James Lynch means a little bit more to him.
Ariel's my guy too, though, man. I don't like to look. Everybody has been nothing but supportive, and everyone got their own little thing. You know what I mean? So I try to keep it all love with everybody because in the end of the day, everybody's pushing MMA and pushing our sport. And I've been doing this since 2005, 2006, and I've seen it go from a fringe sport where nobody watched it and nobody knew about it to it now being where it's at. I mean, it's been pretty crazy.
Yeah, people always ask me for the behind the scenes, like who's this fighter like? What's the reporter like? Ariel, we haven't talked too many times. I don't like to bother people too much, but Ariel's always been good to me. I asked for advice. He was awesome. He was helpful. So yeah, good things. But I just meant like, if I buy a shirt from ESPN, it doesn't quite mean as much to them.
Yeah. I don't know. James has got a pretty good following too, man. He's been around for a while too. So I mean, he's not too small of a fish. We'll give him
No.
some love.
For sure. His following is crazy. Every time I have him on my podcast, it's like he's got the same couple people that always jump in the chat and stuff like that. Like he's got a rabid following. Like I feel like anything he does, there are people aware of it. People are following his cat on Instagram too, so he's got a pretty good following himself.
Yeah, MMA is growing, man. It's growing.
For sure. Speaking of which, so when we look at your name, it's kind of an intimidating name, right? Like there's not a whole lot of letters, but just looking at it, it's like I could imagine the people start,
Oh
Sayif, and they
yeah,
start
oh yeah.
choking.
You got it right, man. It's safe is how you say it in Arabic. That's how you say it. It actually means sword, and it's a name I'm really proud of, and you no doubt, man. Kindergarten, first grade, second grade. They're like, all right, Sam, Samantha,
Yeah,
and
that's me.
I told myself when I was, you said it perfectly. I told myself when I was young, I said, man, I'm never going to change my name. That's who I am. I'll just work hard enough where people know my name and pronounce it, the right way. And shout out to my man, John Anik. He came up to me, this was probably like 13. He runs me down in Brazil. He runs me down. I was with Sean Spencer, I think. And, I think he was fighting Yuri Villafort. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. And he said, hey man, I just want to make sure I get your name right. He said, I looked at your name, I tried to pronounce it, and I said, it's safe. It's safe. So he's like, okay, man, I got it. And I always have a lot of love for him for that. And he, obviously now he's the man. He's rose to fame. He's the best. He's the best guy there is in the business. But that's the thing about our community is I feel like it's tight knit, and most people say my name the right way. So safe like safe. That's how you say it.
There's a few names like that where I'll try and confidently spit something out, and then you get burned enough times where you're like, you know what, don't be an expert, ask.
Yeah,
And
just ask. No, I agree with that. Ask when you don't know something. That's the best way to be.
like but for your name, I asked Geoff Neal. I had him on, I forgot which fight it was, but it was earlier on. I was like, hey man, by the way, like, how do you say your coach's name? And he was like, it's Safe. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's, yeah, I was gonna try to
Hey,
choke over
he
something. And
he got the
oh
Jeoff,
yeah,
so he
yeah,
gets it. He gets it too a little bit, and his name is simple. So
yeah.
you never know what you're gonna get. But hey, your name is what your parents give you, and I think you should be proud of your name. And if you got a tough name, then be an extraordinary person and accomplish a lot of things, and people will know your name and know how to pronounce it the right way. So
The one fighter where I was like, I'm gonna ask him, and it's one of your fights, Ramiz Brahimai. Like I saw his name, I was like, hey man, like how do you say that thing? Like,
yeah, you nailed it though,
yeah.
Ramesh Brahmi. That's it. You got it.
Well, and the thing is, I did the intro, and then it was so intimidating. Like I choked on it. And I was like, hold on, we got to do that one more time because I'm not about to do you like that. Especially, you're trying to get your name out there. Can't have people calling you something weird
No.
because that's not your name.
Yeah, no, well, you're a good man. We're starting this off on a good foot, my man.
You got to score the points with the saying the name correctly. Because I feel like if you say the name wrong, the rest of the interview, it's like,
Right.
does this guy know who I am? Like,
Yeah, no, you're
really?
right.
Like.
You're right. You're right.
But you do a lot of interviews. What's the most common question you get? I feel like you would get a lot of stuff about Deron Williams over at the gym, stuff like that. What's like the most common thing where it's
Uh,
like, all right, here we go.
no, Darren is how you say his name, by the way.
Darren,
Since we're
yeah,
on
safe.
the he got it too. See, he got it too. No, man, it's like I said. I mean, the questions are about the athletes and what it really should be about. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a real grind to fight an MMA fight. I mean, just one MMA fight, just one, even an amateur fight. What these guys and girls do at that level is so hard, and it really is something that should be recognized and appreciated. I know that we're in 2021, we're just inundated with entertainment and whatever we want on demand, Amazon Prime, Netflix. Oh, that's not on. Oh, let's go back to the whatever, that we have gotten so used to it. And even having UFC every single week, we got so used to it. We got spoiled with it, right? But these guys and girls, I mean, they work so hard and have fought MMA myself, and knowing how hard it is, like it's probably one of the hardest things that you can do physically as a sport. I really think that. So we mostly spend time covering that.
And so I know you got COVID not too long ago. Are you fully recovered from that? Or are you one of those guys still lost the taste and everything? How
I,
are you feeling now?
I ate COVID up, spit it out, my guy. I was fortunate, man. I didn't even really realize I had it. The guy that gave it to me, sweet guy, knows who he is. He came to the gym, and it's a long story, but I had to get these checks from the UFC. I had 42 COVID tests this last year, and it just got to the point where I was like, I must be immune to this, or maybe I had it a long time ago, whatever. But ended up getting it, and the worst part was not being there for my guys. That really, really tore me up, and it was so hard, sitting at home. And it's not even just about the winning or losing; it's just not being there for them in those big moments. There and that fight week is really about the fighter. And I tortured these kids. I mean, for weeks on end. I'm on their ass. I'm yelling at them. I'm getting them doing all this grind, all this work. And fight week is their week for me to support them. Hey, man, what do you need? Hey, like, I'm there for them. I want them to have their moment. So it sucked that I didn't get to do that. But yeah, man, I was sick for like a day or two, and not even really that sick, and I got over it. So I was proud of my immune system, and we moved forward.
Well, what are you doing while Geoff Neal's fighting? Like, are you watching the fight, biting your nails? Like, 'cause I assume you got to be dying inside. You're watching all this happen. It's like, man, I should be
I
right
mean,
there,
hey
right in
man,
that corner.
who's biting their nails in 2020, 2021, bro? No one's trying to get sick biting their nails. I don't bite my
That's fair.
nails at all. Number one. Number two is uh it was terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a terrible, terrible thing. I was proud of Jeff. I thought he did a pretty damn good job for the situation. I knew that was going to be a tough fight. Wonder Boy is, I think, right now one of the best welterweights, and not because he beat Jeff, because if you look at Wonder Boy, he's surging. His fight that he had against Vicente Luque, he went at Vicente Luque. He was attacking him, and Vicente Luque is really tough, but man, he was beating him up in the third round. I mean, just boom, 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 and Vicente was just standing still. He couldn't even do anything because Wonder Boy was so on fire, and he's never attacked like that. I studied him, and when you watch all his film, all the way back from the Woodley fights, and even before that, Matt Brown, he lost to Matt Brown. He always was being a little bit, I don't want to say timid, but he was very careful. But after he got knocked out by Anthony Pettis, uh, credit to Wonder Boy, he said it too. He said, "Hey man, after that, I just I got knocked out, and it wasn't so bad, right? I mean, life moves on." After that, I think he unlocked kind of something inside him where he's not afraid anymore, and you saw that in his last few fights. And I thought Jeff came back in the fourth and fifth and started to compete. He busted him up pretty good, and tore his quad with that knee, started busting his face up. And I was proud of Jeff for him to come back from COVID, from almost dying, from having just literally, he almost died, literally, to being in the ICU for 7 days, to a main event fight against one of the best guys, in the welterweight division, and to go 25, and to, deal with the headbutt and the cut and all that, and then get better in the fourth and fifth. I think he can build off that. And Jeff's going to be a problem, man. He's 30 years old. He's going to be a problem, and his time will come. But that's a good lesson, man. Sometimes losing can really make a fighter that much better. And you're going to have those experiences when you're fighting the best people in the world. So I was really proud of him. Heartbroken, but proud.
One guy I do want to talk to you guys about is Uriah Hall, because I've been saying it since he went to your gym, but I think before everyone was always giving him crap because they felt like mentally he wasn't where he needed to be, or he was tentative and stuff like that. And we saw him from the first fight with you guys till now. Something's changed. Like it's like a flip has switched or something like that.
Yeah.
What's from behind the scenes? Like what's different about Uriah Hall since he joined Fortis?
I think Uriah just needed a team. I think he needed a team. I think he needed people that were invested in him. I think that he's trained at a lot of great places. Hey, I got nothing to say about, all the places he's trained. I respect and love those coaches, but I think that Uriah liked to do his own thing kind of. And I think that, that doesn't work. I mean, when you're trying to fight at the highest level, you need a team. I mean, Tiger Woods has a swing coach. And I mean, that guy's a better golfer than he is. I mean, to be at the best you can be in athletics, you have to have a good team around you. You have to have people that are committed to you and who understand you. And I think that's what he got here. He got, Mike Scacia, I think, is the best strength coach in the world. The guy's unbelievable. He clicked in with him. He's got Dr. Travis Mann, does all our PT and our therapy. He's got all his teammates. He's got all the other coaching and the wrestling coaches. And I think that continuity was really what he needed. And I think that you see the results, and I think Uriah is just like I said about Wonder Boy. I think Uriah is the best he's ever been right now. I mean, Wonder Boy's 38 years old. Uriah is 36 right now. These guys hit their stride, man. They've got the experience, the mental experience, but then also the physical skills still to implement that experience, and they're really, really dangerous. And that's how I feel about Uriah right now. I mean, he's on the 3-fight win streak, and stopped Anderson. And I know Anderson's old and everything, but Izzy didn't stop him, and those other guys fought him. DC champs, badass dudes. Anderson's tough, man, and he's got a hell of a chin on him, and he's one of the best to ever do it. So I was proud of Uriah. I thought that was a good accomplishment, and now he's got a tough fight coming up with Chris Weidman, and he'll be ready to go.
That's the weird thing about the age thing, right? You mentioned Wonder Boy's 38, Uriah's 36. I feel like people in MMA still treat it like it's a regular sport, like soccer, for example. Like you're in your prime at about 26, 27, but you see guys like Yoel Romero at 43 still doing the thing, still looking good. Like, I mean, and especially for you working with these guys, have you noticed sort of an age for the prime, or is it all depending on your mileage and kind of when you start?
Yeah, I mean, you just answered your own question, right? It really does depend on
Yeah.
the mileage. If the guy's been starting to get knocked out, starting to take a ton of damage, everything changes. The conversation changes, and but some people, man, just like in life, I mean, you start figuring things out as you get older. Like, oh man, I can't believe I was such a dumbass. I can't believe I acted that way. Got so upset about it. You at 18 aren't who you are at 23. I mean, you got, upset about shit that you wouldn't even think about, right? So you learn, you get better, hopefully with age. And I feel like these fighters with their experience are really doing that. And, we see that with these veterans, and we see guys like Wonder Boy and like Uriah performing at probably their highest level ever right now. And I think that there's something to that.
I like to talk a lot about the behind the scenes part too, sort of the relationship between the media and the fighters, the media and the coaches. Well, what's your relationship like with the media? Because we see you do a lot of interviews, and it seems like it's pretty good. But what's do you enjoy doing the media at all, or do you see it like it's part of the job?
No, I think that, you have to invest in people. And I like to invest in people. And I've had nothing but good experiences, nothing but positivity with everybody. To be honest, um, I, I got love for everybody. I think the media, hey, look, man, everyone's trying to make their way. Everybody's trying to make their name. And, I deal in good faith. And I think when you deal in good faith, people deal in good faith with you. So I have no complaints. I have nothing to say. I tell my guys too, it is part of your job to be a professional. I mean, in the NFL, if you try to skip the media day, you get fined. Even if you've lost a game, you've got to go in there and sit and face them and talk to them. And at the end of the day, everybody, the more activity, the more media, the more attention, the bigger the sport's going to be. I mean, and being in the sport for 15 years, you would be happy as hell if somebody interviewed you 15 years ago, right? Because I mean, I remember when the WEC got picked up on Versus. I remember when the UFC had like 8-10 events a year. I mean, I remember all that stuff like it was yesterday. And to see MMA to see ABC now showing the UFC, to see ESPN get picked up. I mean, the UFC has crushed it for ESPN, crushed it. And that's awesome, man. That's great. And I think that everyone should appreciate it. At the end of the day, yeah, it's not perfect, but when you've been there, almost since the beginning and you've seen it, you have a different appreciation for where we are right now. And I think that everyone needs to just keep pushing the sport. And I really hope positivity is a theme in 2021, man. 2020 was a weird year. It really was hard on everybody in every way. It kind of stopped everybody's momentum. It slowed everybody down. It put a lot of roadblocks in front of a lot of people, and us included, in the gym and everything. But I feel like people have kind of turned the page and are ready to move forward. And I just hope that everybody, MMA, media, the UFC, everyone has a positive year. And I think that's what we need, man. And we need to be pushing each other up, not pushing each other down. So.
The big thing, speaking of which, that I noticed with fighters, and we talked about this with Geoff when we did our interview, was it seems like a lot of the fighters, a lot of people, they pay attention who was there when nobody else was there, and then they have their guys that they can go to, and they know,
Yeah,
like, you know what, you were in Geoff. He was like, I have my handful of guys I do interviews with, and then to everybody else today, it's like, well, you weren't there before, and I feel like we're
that's
seeing that a
true.
lot more with guys.
Yeah, well, that point is actually true. Uh, Again, I told you at the beginning. I try to never say no to interviews because if someone wants to talk to you, then that's a compliment, and you should take it as such. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are popping up, and we get the messages. Hey, can I co-manage? I mean, the week before Jeff's fight, hey, I manage guys in the NFL. Hey, can I co-manage Geoff? And we can co-manage them together. I'm like, man, you're really that slimy, dude. Like, bro, like, really? Man, the week of the fight, it literally was like the Monday or the Saturday or whatever. And you got people that are slimy that haven't been in this business in a long time. But the people that have been in the business and for a long time, you know who they are, you can depend on, you can trust. And just like any other businessman, you're going to have a lot of turnover, and you just got to weed out the good versus the bad and move on.
But before we wrap things up, though, I noticed that you do manage a lot of your fighters. How much of a benefit is that when you manage and you coach the guys? Like, I feel like the kind of trust you have to have in someone to both be your coach and your manager, like, you must have a tremendous relationship with your guys in order to be able to do something like that.
Well, the unique thing is, Lucas, that there's some great managers out there. Ali, say whatever you want about Ali. The guy's got multiple champions. He fights for his guys like there's no tomorrow. Jason House, same thing. That guy, I mean, works tirelessly for his guys. I can't say enough good things about him and what he's built. And on and on. I have nothing bad to say about anybody, man. That's just not who I am, But I will say that, when you have a manager, then you've got that in between where the manager gets the fight and then brings it to you, the coach, and then you've got to deal with it and figure out what you're doing. Well, I mean, I've been doing this so long, I've been around for so long. I've got a rapport with the matchmakers. I've known them for so long. It would almost be weird for me to have them call somebody else for that person to call me, because I've known them longer than some of the managers, right? So it just kind of was an organic thing that just kind of happened, and it just kind of cuts that piece out, right? And we get things done, and there's things that I hopefully do well as a manager. I'm sure there's things that I could do better, but I don't ever call myself a manager. I think I am the only coach that manages all of his guys. I think I'm like a throwback from back in the day, old school coach manager slash, but I don't even ever talk about it. I don't consider myself a manager. I'm the head coach. I own the gym, and I'm a gym owner and a business owner. And it's just something that I do to try to be more efficient, really, for my athletes. And that's really kind of how that came about. And it's just really worked out. So that we've continued to do that in the gym, because it's the easiest way for us to deal with the UFC.
Before we officially wrap up, though, I always like to ask at the beginning of the year, but what are the goals for Fortis MMA in 2021?
Well, 2018 we were 16-4. 2019 we were 19-5. This last year we had a 500-ish record. I mean, we had a lot of fights that went well. We had a lot of fights that didn't go well, and I think that it was a growing year. When you look at where these guys were and how amazing their run was for those 2 years. I mean, that winning percentage, I don't know if anyone will ever duplicate that kind of winning in the UFC for a 2-year period. I mean, that many different fighters. We have 18 fighters in the UFC. It's not like we have 3 or we have 4 or 5 or we've got a real stud that, well, that guy, he just is a champ and he just took it all the way. We built this from the ground up. So, but I knew that once these fighters got to, main events and fighting Anderson Silva and fighting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and fighting, the co-mains, that it was going to get tough. And I think that it's really awesome to see the resolve. The team is probably now more focused than it's ever been. I feel like COVID was a real bump in the road for us. I mean, we had so much momentum. And, COVID slowed everybody down. And I feel like everyone's kind of getting their mojo back. So, man, the goal is to win. And the goal is to win every single fight. Like I said, when you're used to having that much success and winning at 80% clip, that's your expectation, and that will always be our expectation. Actually, our expectation will be even higher. Our first goal was to have the fighters in the UFC. Then the second goal was to have them get to their second contract, and then the third goal was to have them get ranked in the top 15, and then the top 10. Carlos is in the top 10. Uriah, and on and on and on. So we continuously set goals, but for the team, it's to win. Bottom line.
Before we officially end things, though, I'm sure you have sponsors, you have social media, plenty of fighters at your gym. You have to plug stuff.
Coaches don't do that, dude. I'm 40 years old, man. I'm not going to plug nobody. What are you talking about?
You have to.
I'm gonna plug you. I'm gonna plug you, man.
There we go.
Follow this young man who is working hard and trying to push the sport and grow the sport and give everyone a little insight on our lives and what we do. And that's it. How about that? I'll give you a shout out. I don't shout anybody out, dude. Come on, dude. No.
There we go. I can't argue with that. First guy to do it, maybe the last probably too. So listen, man, I appreciate you for coming on. I really do. This was some good stuff.
It's my pleasure, man.